Okay. Can we see Miss? Well, we see the top of your head.
Yeah.
We'll see Gail better.
You can see my frizzies. That's an interesting. Good morning. Welcome everybody. We'll go ahead and begin. Welcome to the Church of the Angels. We are an independent, non-denominational, interfaith spiritualist assembly. All who enter here are valued for their unique qualities. We gather in safe community to worship as equals in an exchange of energy through love, thought, and communication. My name is Tonda, and I'm your facilitator. This is my second time, so please be patient. And I'll thank you in advance. Service is being recorded today and will be posted online at Facebook. The recording will be stopped before messages are given to respect the sacredness of working with spirit. In true spiritualist tradition, our services celebrate all four aspects of meeting. The first is the uniting of our vibrations through music, prayer, and quiet reflection. The second offers spiritual healing. The third embraces inspiration and thought exchange. And finally, we communicate messages from spirit. We will be together here for a little more than an hour today, and masks and face shields are optional. Please continue to practice social distancing. There will be no fellowship time following the services. Wipes and hand sanitizers are available. There's some at the door over there. Church of the Angels tries to be as inclusive as possible, and we invite those of all opinions and backgrounds to join us for our services. All speakers are prompted to leave politics and politically charged topics outside of our gathering. This is to promote a spiritual unity. We know that our true selves are always united in love. If you're interested in sharing your passion and knowledge with our congregation, please contact Fran Dietrich, who is scheduling speakers at this time. If you'd like to serve the church as a facilitator, as I'm doing now, please contact Robert and Joey once. I want to mention that if you wish to make a donation, you can do so through the Church of the Angels website, and you will also have the opportunity to make your donation a reoccurring one if you choose. There is a separate donation page on the website, and on that page you will be able to choose where and what your donation is for. Here is our church space. We will not be passing the baskets for safety. They are located throughout the room. And I think, as I've noted before, it's easy to when the basket goes in front of you, it's easy to remember. So it takes a little effort to just remember to stop by either of the tables as you leave. And I think one in the back of the room as well. So if you would do that, all donations of any denomination are greatly appreciated. Thank you to all those who have donated and helped us stay strong throughout this time. Please rise for our first hymn, and then please remain standing for our opening prayer.
Tell me of a home where the storm clouds rise.
hook you up in time for prayer. That's good for you. I am choosing this morning for, rather than a prayer, it's a Buddhist blessing, and one that has always meant a great deal to me. Buddhist blessings are sometimes referred to as Mahayana, or generating love and kindness. And this is not from me. I think I credit John Kabat-Zinn for this book, but I'm not sure. So if you would take a deep breath and take a moment to just appreciate all the causes and conditions aligned in just the right way for all of us to be here for this moment in this space. May you be free from internal and external harm. May you have a calm, clear mind and a peaceful loving heart. May you be healthy, vital, and strong. May you find love, joy, wonder, and wisdom in this world, just as it is. May this be true for you, for our friends and loved ones, and throughout the entire world. Thank you. This is a sacred assembly to avoid interruptions and maintain the sacred nature of the service. All phones and or recording devices are to be turned off throughout the service. We will be recording the podium area only so that we can share this service with others online. Now for announcements. Our speaker today is Dale Miller, and we have a monthly virtual service today. Be sure to join Reverend Mark Zor for a new study group on Tuesdays here at 6:30 p.m. to discuss the works of Anthony DeMaio. Ceremonies for Ministers classes 2 is on Thursday, October 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. The annual Halloween Seance event has been announced, and just as we did last year, this is a 3-evening event. Thursday, October 28th, Friday, the 29th, Saturday, the 30th. Prepayment can be made on the website at $26 per person. Only 15 participants each evening, and all will receive messages from a panel of 3 mediums. Reservations can be made through Reverend Jenny. Please check the website, newsletter, or Facebook for the newest information on our live services plans. With things changing almost daily, keep watching for our latest recommendations. You can connect with us through Facebook at the Church of the Angels of Cleveland, Ohio. Please help us promote our church and its events by reposting and sharing the church's Facebook posts. Announcement for annual meeting. The annual meeting election of the board is November 14th. To vote in the election, you must have become a member of the church at least 2 months before the election or by September 12th of 2021. Ballots will be available per mail request on October 10th, and you can vote at the annual meeting by mailing your ballot to the Chesterland address in time to arrive by the annual meeting or returning ballot via email, the Church of the Angels at gmail.com. All ballots will be counted by, and email, will be counted by 2 members of the congregation who are neither board members nor members who are running for the board. You can join the Church of the Angels. Okay, I will now go into the statement of principles. Please join me silently as I read our statement of principles. If you would like a copy, you can find it on our website. There is one creative force of which all life is part. This one creative force is known by many names and manifestations. We recognize and honor the many names and manifestations of the one creative force, the source of all creation, one God. The energy of life is everywhere, is continuous. All consciousness is continuous. Communication is continuous. The energy of life, consciousness, and communication never cease, even after the event that is perceived as one creates one's own reality. One creates in harmony with the one creative force, the great power of God, of which all life is a part. Reality is as one chooses to perceive and will change as one grows in knowledge of the inner self and one's relationship with the God of its understanding. All things are possible with faith, insight, knowledge, understanding, acceptance, and love. Love is the unifying energy of the universe. Love is the energy of the one creative force who is all life and all mankind are one in the creatorship and healing force of love and with each other. Love is within us and of us. Love is never apart from us. It is we who separate ourselves from the power of love. The force of God works through love and love alone. Now we will have a few moments of quiet meditation so that we may concentrate on going within to find peace, calm, and healing for ourselves and the world. Take your time and come back. Remember that we are always connected to each other and the divine. Use this peace and calm to take care of yourself and all those around you in your community and throughout the world in whatever you can. And please add silently or aloud the names of those you wish to include in this evening's energy. Thank you. It's now time for inspiration and thought exchange brought to us today by today's speaker, and we invite everyone to address our assembly with words of inspiration, lessons learned, or passionate ideas. Every opinion expressed here is strictly that of the person who gives it. Let us consciously and lovingly agree to disagree if it does not resonate with us. And Dale Miller is our speaker for today. And the topic for today is, I love this topic, the in-between project. I think we're all kind of in-between. The in-between project, practical spirituality for engaging the world as it really is. And I have a short bio. Dale Miller has been an active spiritual seeker his whole life. He received his PhD in clinical psychology in 1976 and has served in local government as Cleveland City Councilperson, state legislator, and Cuyahoga County Council. So, okay, without further ado, I will give you Dale.
Good morning. I'm greatly honored to speak to you about my upcoming book, The In-Between Project, Practical Spirituality for Engaging the World as It Really Is. The concepts here are a product of a lifetime of reflection, and I hope you find it useful. However, I also mention the disclaimer we hear every Sunday. The views expressed are only those of the presenter. Some items will be unfamiliar. Don't expect to agree with everything. If something is worthy of reflection, that will be enough. I've studied a lot of things: religion, philosophy, psychology, politics, history, physics, biology, and more. I use all of them in seeking spiritual understanding. There are not separate spiritual and physical universes. There is one universe. The truth can be pursued through any of these disciplines, and they will be consistent with each other. Spiritual truth was not revealed once and for all long ago. The truth doesn't change and is always accessible. Hopefully, our understanding improves over time. I rely on my own experience, insight, intuition as the best sources of spiritual knowledge, aided by spiritual tradition and what I learned from others. Part 1, Universal Consciousness. So when we think about God or divine being, most ideas fall into either of two camps, which are far apart. The first is that God is all-loving, all-powerful, perfectly just, creator of all that exists, and in control of all that happens. Everything will turn out as it should because God is in charge. The opposite view is that there isn't any God. The world is nothing more than the interplay of mechanical objects which interact according to the laws of physics, and we are on our own against the vicissitudes of nature. The traditional view of God has lots of problems, and we go through all kinds of mental contortion trying to fix it. If God is all loving and all powerful, why did God create a world with natural disasters and so much evil? If God controls everything, what part do we play? Are we just actors in a preordained drama? If God created everything, who created God? The response we typically hear is that it is just beyond the power of our poor minds to grasp, and that we should just accept it on faith. However, I just don't believe that the universe works in ways that are illogical and unintelligible. Maybe the answer is somewhere in between. I sense, as humans have since the beginning of time, that there is a universal power out there. But maybe it doesn't have all the attributes we commonly give it. The critics will say, if God isn't perfect, then it can't be God. Well, prior to 1609, we all believed the same thing about planetary orbits. God is perfect. Everything God does is perfect. Therefore, God would not place the planets in anything but perfectly circular orbits. Unfortunately, circular orbits didn't fit with what they observed. So they tried circles within circles called epicycles, and that didn't work either. Finally, in 1609, Johannes Kepler published Astronomia Nova and asserted that the planets have elliptical orbits and their distance from the sun is not constant. Kepler opened the door that God can be God and not perfect. We know from both experience and modern science that the world is not primarily physical, it is energetic. Our energies are connected to each other, and if we are all connected, surely there is a central source to which we are all connected. So the universe as a whole is conscious, and we are all connected to it. This universal consciousness best expresses the most positive qualities: love, connection, fairness, wisdom, self-improvement, and appreciation. But it's not perfect, all-powerful, or all-knowing. Also, universal consciousness did not create the universe. The universe has always been here. Universal consciousness is not an outside power directing the show, but a participant with us in experiencing the joys and challenges of life. My relationship with universal consciousness is a partnership, not a relationship of creature to creator. Universal consciousness expresses divine qualities far better than me, but universal consciousness acts primarily through individual conscious beings, including me. We are essential to each other. Part 2, restoring the ego. Spiritual leaders have taught for thousands of years that the spiritual way is to submerge the ego and renounce selfishness. For example, Ephesians chapter 2 states, all of us once lived in the passions of our flesh, following the desires of flesh and senses, and we were by nature children of wrath. In the early 5th century, St. Augustine fully developed the concept of original sin, that human nature is essentially evil. Similar thinking persists to this day, and not only in fundamentalist circles. Advice to renounce self and turn everything over to God remains widespread. The opposite view is that we are divine by nature and expressions of God, and it is only when we forget who we are that we get into trouble. While popular in New Age circles, this idea also goes way back, as in this famous passage from Psalm 8. What are human beings that you are mindful of them? For you have made them a little lower than God and crowned them with glory and honor. My view is closer to the second one, but very much in between. Human selfhood and individuality are among the most important things. Universal consciousness moves positive energies, but expresses primarily through us as individuals. How pathetic and impoverished it would be if we all served spirit in the same way. I am by nature a unitary being, mind, body, and spirit working together. Also, there is not a higher self that is separate from the rest of myself. The self is my conscious mind that chooses what I think, say, and do, and my subconscious mind that directs me when not consciously choosing my behavior. I am my higher self when making the highest and best use of my abilities, but this is not a separate entity. Here's the in-between part. There are two things to be mindful of in positively expressing our individuality. First, human nature is not all sweetness and light. Researchers such as Robert Sapolsky, author of Behave, The Biology of Humans at Our Best and Worst, and Carl Sagan and Anne Druyan, authors of Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors, have delved into the complex combination of biological, chemical, genetic, cultural, environmental, and evolutionary factors that go into human behavior. While altruism and connectedness are part of our nature under favorable circumstances, they also assert that intergroup conflict, us versus them thinking, aggressiveness, and drive for domination had survival value in the past and are also part of our nature. Therefore, we must be aware of and counteract these tendencies through the power of our minds. The second is to be mindful that we are not only individuals, but also part of the whole. I love how Deepak Chopra expresses this in The Way of the Wizard. Insofar as you are one person, Merlin taught, you are like a drop in the ocean. Insofar as you are part of universal awareness, you are the whole ocean. Doesn't one drop simply melt away and get lost in the ocean? Merlin asked. No, an individual can never be obliterated, even through the experience of the ocean of consciousness, Merlin assured him. You can be yourself and be the all at the same time. That may seem a mystery, yet it is so. To me, it is not a mystery. I try always to see myself as both the all and the individual. I work for the betterment of the all as much as my individual self, or more so. When aware of the limitations of human nature and being the one and the all at the same time, I am a joy and a benefit to the universe. As for turning it over to God, not only would that relinquish my unique contribution, it's not even possible. If I tried, I would still have to decide which directions that I believe are really from God. I connect with universal consciousness daily. Universal consciousness helps me see things from the perspective of the all and helps me become better. But it is my own self directing me. I love myself very much as a unique and special being and practice lots of self-care. I can do so without being arrogant or self-centered. I just keep thinking of myself as both the all and the one, and greatly admire all the amazing things that other people do that I just can't do very well. That keeps it in perspective. Part 3, providence. One view is that God is in control and everything turns out as it's supposed to happen. We need not worry, all will be well in the end. The opposite view is that we live in a mechanical universe and are at the mercy of the forces of nature. In 1987, during the Cold War, Carol and I traveled to Volgograd, Russia to set up a partner city program. Our host, Galina Tokareva, engaged us in a friendly dispute over which country was more devoted to peace. She said that Americans believe in God, and that God will protect us from catastrophe. But Russians don't believe in God and therefore are more committed to peace because they know we could blow each other up if we're not careful. My view is somewhat in between, but the Russians were on the right track. Universal consciousness is part of the universe with us, not running the show. Natural disasters and pandemics happen. Wars take place. There's no guarantee on the outcome. It's up to us. The in-between part is that universal consciousness spreads positive energy and helps us do the same if we are receptive. Also, the universe is energetic, and we have the power to shape the world through the power of our minds. I just don't believe that everything that happens is what's supposed to happen. Bad things happen, and sometimes I cause them. On Tuesday, I scratched a colleague's car coming out of the parking lot. That wasn't for the best, and with a little awareness, I could easily have prevented it. My viewpoint is less comforting, but more real. Part 4, manifestation. Modern physics tells us that even seemingly solid objects are over 99.999% empty space. We're more like vibrating bands of energy. Our minds send waves of energy that ripple through the universe and change the physical world. At Mel's workshop a week ago, Jody shared that her son wrote a manifestation letter. He read it every morning and evening for 30 days and then put it away, and it all came true within 3 months. We've all had similar experiences. The full version of this view is that all actions start in mind and that anything that can be conceived can be manifested. We hear it in the common expression, you can do anything you put your mind to. The opposite view is that the world is purely physical and mechanical, and that mental activity does not affect the physical universe. My in-between view is that our minds are truly powerful, way more so than most of us believe, but not unlimited. Our minds are not unlimited simply because of all the other forces at work. Other minds, nature, the animal world, universal consciousness, and random chance. They all play a part. It's good to recognize these limitations. Otherwise, we start blaming ourselves for what we don't manifest. My pastor at Unity Spiritual Center, Reverend Joanne Rowden, says expecting people to manifest everything is spiritual malpractice. Recognizing the limitations of my one individual mind does not prevent me from manifesting anything. It's not primarily about belief, it's more about sending out the right energy. Part 5, prosperity. Spiritual leaders have taught for thousands of years that materialism is the opposite of spirituality. You can't serve God and money. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to be saved. Sell all your possessions and follow me. Monasteries, vows of poverty, practices of asceticism. An opposite view grew through the New Thought movement of the 19th century, the social gospel, the discovery of the law of attraction, and the prosperity gospel. God intends us to enjoy the goodness of life on earth. This idea also has a long history. The preacher in Ecclesiastes said, "So I commend enjoyment. For there is nothing better for people under the sun than to eat, drink, and enjoy themselves." Jesus was quoted as saying, "I will do whatever you ask in my name." I believe there is nothing virtuous about poverty, destitution, and ill health. Each individual life, including mine, is valuable and contributes to the well-being of the whole. It is right to enjoy and appreciate the goodness of life. 200 years ago, I would have believed in prosperity even more so than now. But the world has changed. The planet cannot sustain our current level of material production and consumption. Also, other countries are catching up economically, and their people desire our level of prosperity as well. Since I am the all and not just the individual, I must seek prosperity that is environmentally sustainable with a fair distribution of the Earth's resources. That means less consumption of physical goods, less travel, less energy use, more enjoyment of things that use few of the Earth's resources. I've made steps in that direction, but not nearly enough. Having liberated myself from the idea that poverty is virtuous, I now recognize that seeking unlimited material abundance does not serve human survival and well-being. I seek prosperity that serves the greater good. Part 6, self-improvement. One view is that self-improvement is highly virtuous and that we can become whoever we desire. The existentialists taught that existence precedes essence. Through living our life, we create who we are. The opposite view is that we can't change very much. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. A leopard can't change its spots. Not only that, self-improvement is selfish and not virtuous. Recent writers such as Will Storr, author of Selfie, How We Became So Self-Obsessed and What It's Doing to Us, and Jessica Lamb Shapiro, author of Promised Land, My Journey Through America's Self-Help Culture, have criticized the self-help industry with its tens of thousands of books and millions of workshops. My view is in between. Self-improvement is highly virtuous if much of the effort is on expanding my capability to make the universe better. Self-improvement is also part of our nature. Just observe any healthy 2-year-old and note that much of his or her activity is directed toward learning how the world works. I just do the same. It is the main objective of the In-Between Project. Our capacity for self-improvement is constrained by the biological, genetic, cultural, and evolutionary forces I mentioned, but is still far greater than commonly thought. The most useful tools for self-improvement are expanding self-awareness and conscious choice, creating, improving, and removing habits, cognitive restructuring, perceptual restructuring, emotional clearing, working with one's self-conscious, working with universal consciousness, and meta-improvement, which is increasing one's capacity for self-improvement. We often hear that our purpose is to learn. I take that a step farther. My purpose is to learn and apply that learning to become a better person. Self-improvement is one of my primary purposes, along with loving, serving, leading, enjoying, and appreciating. In conclusion, these concepts describe how the universe really works and are very practical. In some ways, they make life easier, such as by realizing that I can manifest many wonderful things, but not everything. In other ways, it's harder. God doesn't control everything. There's no guarantee that things will turn out well. It's up to me to make the universe better in my own unique way. It's a wonderful opportunity and a big responsibility. I've only scratched the surface. You'll just have to read the whole book. If anybody would like to do so and give me your reactions, that would be great. Just give me your email address after the service. May understanding of the in-between world enrich all of our lives. Amen.
So I'm like, I'm afraid I
Thank you.
I want to thank you too, because it is very practical. You know, we don't advocate all self-control or whatever and say, oh, it's God's will, and yet, you know, we're also not separate beings, only real on our own. Take that little road.
Thank you.
There's the absolute truth. There's your truth. And the absolute truth.
Thank you.
And I will say one other thing. Then there's a woman I went to school said that all self-work is the better we are, then the better we are in the world. And again, it speaks to
Well, that's absolutely my point of view, and I take that back very much in the full expression of my book. Thank you very much, everybody.
And I guess the other question is, if people would like a copy of your book, where can they get it?
Just after the service, just give me your email address.
And you will
I
send.
will email you the name.
Oh, okay. So hopefully everyone heard that. If you'd like a copy of Dale's book, if you give him your email after the service, he will then email you the manuscript.
The book has not been published yet, and becoming an author is very challenging, but I expect to do it sometime in the next year.
So it actually may be of benefit to you if people do read it, give you feedback
Absolutely.
prior to publication,
Absolutely.
before it's hot off the press. So there you go. So a way that we can all be helpful in the in-between. If we can put it that way. Let's see. Where am I going? To usher in our time for truth and message from spirit, please rise for our next hymn.
Take back the heat.
And maybe we'll be humming our next hymn. I don't know.
Who are on the road must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's hell did slowly go by, and be them on your dream, the one they fix, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you look right, so just look at them and sigh, and know they love you. And you, of tender years, can't know the fears that your elders grew, and so please help them with your youth. They see the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well, their children's hell will slowly go by, and be them on your dream, the one they fix, you'll know right. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh. And they know they love
Please be seated. Recording will now be stopped to preserve the sacredness of those serving and receiving from Spirit. For those of you watching this on video, thank you for your support, and remember that you are always connected to the divine and healings will be available during the message portion of this, and please take advantage of our wonderful prayer team. Contact us